Now, when we think about loyalty, the whole NBA fan base loves it. You got Kobe, who spent 20 years in LA. Dirk spent his whole time in Dallas. Tim Duncan spent his whole time in San Antonio. But for those two that I mentioned with Kobe and Duncan, they came in and they were put in good positions, at least to have some help. Like Duncan obviously was the only reason that they won 5 chips. But he didn't come in to a situation like Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal came into a situation where they would make the playoffs with him. You know, they were one game away from from the Eastern Conference Finals one time. And you know, him and John Wall were looking like a promising duo. But let's look at the history of staying loyal to small market teams. All right, let's start with Dirk. Dirk is probably one of those what if like legends. It's like, what if he had some more help? Because let's say in his whole career, bro, he did not have great help once. In Dirk's prime, when he was averaging 26 and 10, his best help was a 15-point per game Michael Finley, a 17-point per game Jason Terry, and a 9-point per game Jason Kidd. This man, Dirk Nowitzki, a top 5 power forward of all time, in his prime, got no help whatsoever. Yeah, you know, eventually he beat that Heat team in 2011. That's a huge thing on his resume. But Dirk, if he left the Mavericks, I can almost guarantee you he'd have more than one championship. Now we look at somebody else, another guy who's been very loyal. I mean, even though he's been on 2 teams, people don't think that if you ever been on 2 teams, you're not that loyal. Blake Griffin. Right after he got extended by the Clippers owner backstabbed him and sent him to Detroit for like Tobias Harris and Avery Bradley. And Blake Griffin goes to Detroit, and he has an all-star year, averaging 25, 8 and 5 on 46, 36, 75. The best year of his career. Took Detroit to the A seed. And well, guess what? He stays. And you know, most stars in that situation, when they're on a trash team putting up together an all-star performance, they're demanding to trade out of there. I want to go compete. Blake Griffin stayed loyal, and well, what's happening now? What's his future with Detroit? His future with Detroit is playing until his contract ends. They're probably going to go get a small deal because he'll be a lot older then. And Blake Griffin's future is just not looking good. This loyalty really didn't pan out for Blake Griffin. Now, Russell Westbrook, when we're talking about loyalty, this is probably one of the more loyal players of our past generation. Russell Westbrook, yes, he got traded and he demanded a trade out of OKC. But before all that, in 2016-17, when he had his MVP season, he could have made a decision to leave the Thunder. A team that's second best player was averaging 15 points a game. He had a chance to leave the Thunder, go to some sort of contender. I don't know, do something to better his career. But he stayed, and he stayed with that mediocre Thunder team. Eventually, they got to a place where they got Paul George, Carmelo Anthony, and they got nowhere. Russell Westbrook then demands a trade to Houston. They get to Houston, they have these high expectations. They should make the Western Conference Finals at least, top 3 seed in the conference. They don't do either. He's thought of as the villain, a player who you can't win with. He then gets traded to Washington. Yeah, he's averaging a triple-double on bad efficiency. Now he has no trade value and a player you can't win with. So what I'm trying to say here, bro, is Bradley Beal, he needs to demand this trade. I don't think he's ever going to have that rush treatment where he eventually becomes somebody who you think you can't win with. But goddamn it, bro, he needs to get out of Washington. Washington's in a horrible situation. I understand you want to be loyal. Bradley Beal, he's a very loyal player, and that's a great trait to have. But if you're trying to put together a Hall of Fame level career while you just entering your prime and you're averaging 35 and like 5, bro, do not stay with the Wizards, bro. You pushing yourself back. And that's what I'm saying, man. Loyalty is an overrated thing. LeBron, if he were to re-sign with them Cavs in 2010, where do you think them Cavs would have got? They wouldn't have got the first pick because they'd be too good with LeBron. They would have just been like a top three seed, maybe the 1 seed again in the East. Bro, there would be no direction to that team. LeBron's best decision was to leave. Because if he stayed, team's going to be too good for them to get a high draft pick to get a good star. Team doesn't attract stars. The team didn't trade for a star. Like LeBron, if he deadass resigned, he'd be in the same position as Dirk was. He'd just be fucked. He just got to wait until something lucky happens. KD, if he were to stay in OKC, I don't see that team getting past the Warriors. I don't. And maybe one year they do. I don't see them getting past the Cavs. So if KD didn't leave, he has no rings on his finger. He's just known as a great player on a team that never won a championship. And that's what his legacy would be. So to me, man, loyalty is very overrated. Like, do I want Jokic to stay loyal to my team? Fucking hell yeah. I don't want him to leave. But also, Jokic is not in a situation where he was like LeBron with the Cavs or KD with the Thunder, where they were good, but not good enough to get past the Warriors or get past the Cavs. He's not in one of those situations. He's with a young team that has a lot of potential that can trade for a star. So when loyalty comes up, bro, unless you have a supporting cast like Duncan or Kobe got, if you show loyalty to your team and the team doesn't show loyalty to you back by getting you a star, by taking risks just to try and see if they can get some more help around you, what the hell are you doing there? Bradley Beal needs to get out of Washington.